Ми просимо запросити до співбесіди наступного.
And please invite our next candidate, Roman Норець. Do we have Mr. Норець with us?
Доброго дня, пане Романе, вітаємо. Як ви бачите,
Good afternoon, Roman. We welcome you. So we have 3 members of the commission here in the room, and 3 are with us online. And now we would like to ask you some questions. So you answered some of them in writing, but we wanted to discuss some of them publicly because we have a transparent and public process. So I will start to ask questions to you because I will be the main interviewer for your case, and I would like to ask you to be brief and to take 3 to 4 minutes to answer each question. So first of all, we wanted to ask you some questions about declaring some data from your declaration. So the first one about Suzuki Ignis vehicle. So we have already asked this question in our request, but we wanted to get some clarification. So on the 22nd of February 2023, you purchased a car, Suzuki Ignis 2022, for 723,000 hryvnias. According to the declaration for 2022, you and your family members had no monetary assets as of the 31st December 2022. That would be subject to declaration. On January 28, 2023, you received a salary of 226,867 hryvnias, as evidenced by the notice of significant changes in property status dated February 15, 2023. In the declaration submitted before the dismissal up to the 8th of August 2023, you indicated that on the 24th of February 2023, you received a loan in the amount of 484,410 hryvnias. But also you said that because of the deduction of alimony, which is 70% of your salary, you got only 40,000 hryvnias. So according to these calculations, even if we add up the salary received in January 2023, about for 40,000 hryvnias, savings as of the end of the year 2022, 68,000, and the amount of the loan received in February 2023, this amount will still not be enough to cover the cost of the car, 723,000. So you spent this money to buy the car. And in your response to our inquiry, you stated that 230,000 was contributed by your ex-wife, Svetlana Noretz. But according to the tax authority, Svetlana Noretz received only 900,000 actually as child alimony in 2022, and also that Svetlana lives abroad currently, so it raises a question: would she be able to pay 230,000 out of this 900,000 pay this amount for the car? So we would like to hear from you. Where did you get the funds to purchase this car, taking into account the calculations that we have provided? If you had some additional savings for the car, why did you not declare them? Yes, I provided all the written answers, and I provided the bank statements to show how much money I had in the bank account. I did not have any cash funds, because when my family went abroad, I gave them all the cash that I had in a foreign currency. So as for 2022, I also mentioned that Svetlana did not want to tell me about her income, to give me any information. So I stated in the declaration that my family member did not inform me about her savings and her income. And on the 24th of January, I signed a contract, and I made the first payment, which had to be done by the 8th of February, and all the other payments were to be done from the bank loan, Privatbank. They checked me. They agreed to provide a loan to me. They provided me with a letter of guarantee. And when the primary payment was made and the car was brought to Ukraine, because the cars, they were kept in Romania because the car dealers were afraid of the bombings. So when the car was brought to Ukraine, I was registered as the owner of this car, and I provided all the documents to the car dealership, and the next day Svetlana came from Sweden. So I signed this loan agreement, and also I registered all the necessary documents for the car, and I was informed by the car dealer that the bank proceeded with the payment, so I could take the car. Yeah, well, we just have this question, why your ex-wife paid 230,000 for your car? Well, but I have explained. Yeah, but we would like you to say it publicly, because not only we are interested as the Commission, but the public is also interested in this fact. Well, we decided to get a divorce, and because Svetlana lives in Sweden. So if you have this question, so why do they say like a Swedish family? Swedish family means that people live together when they have some common values. If people realize that they do not have any like shared interests, they get a divorce, not trying to imitate a marriage, afraid what people are going to say, but they just get a divorce. So Svetlana lived with a lady for a while, and she was telling me that this lady, she got a divorce, but when her kid had a birthday to celebrate, the kid's mother was with a new partner, the kid's father was with a new partner, and they all celebrated their kid's birthday. So you don't have to really hate each other, and we decided that we are going to get a divorce. We do not have any like monetary problems with each other, so she will have the car that we owned, and she agreed to pay make up this payment for my car. So it's just your internal payments. Yes, just we are adults, so that's what we decided to do. Okay, let us talk about the land plot. According to the information that we have in the Commission, you have a land plot in the recreational area in Lviv region for individual summer cottage construction. So could you please explain how you acquired this land plot? Well, it's not recreational area, it's just a field. When I was serving in the State Security Service in Lviv region, some communities said that they are ready to provide land plots to the participants of combat activities. And because I had some achievements in this service, I was told that there is a possibility to get a land plot. I was asked where I would like to have such a land plot, and we decided to to get this. And before the Zahar Berkut movie was shown, nobody knew about this village, actually. So you got it as a combatant, as a participant of combat activities. Well, I was just one of the people who got them, not just me personally, other people as well. And also I wanted to ask a question about your place of residence. So in response to our request, you stated that you previously lived at the Barshaevska Street on the basis of a trilateral lease agreement through the NACP and are currently trying to re-register the lease to the SSU. As far as we understand, you do not currently reside there. And in the absence of re-registration, you have no grounds for use and for declaring it. Well, I had to declare it for 2023 because I was using it for more than 50% of the time, because the grounds of declaration is either if you stay there for over 30 days before the end of the reporting period, or more than 50% of. So as of the 31st of December, I lived in Limanka in Odessa region. But in your declaration, you did not state any other place of, I have this apartment in Odessa region. There were some changes there before the territorial reform. It was a different community, but then it belonged to the Liman area. Okay, I see. And also we know that was stated as your place of residence in the date of pre-trial investigation. Did you live there? No, I did not live there, and I just explained that if you come to stay with someone as a guest, you do not have to declare this place as your place of residence. I honestly responded that in the beginning of 2020, when I came from Kherson to Kiev for 2 weeks, I lived at my friend's place, and I do not have to declare this place. So you did not reside there at Yaltinsk? No. Okay. You stated that you have quite good relations with your ex-wife, and according to the information that we have, you have children from 2 marriages, but your ex-wives, they have sued you for alimony, and your ex-wife Svetlana Noretz sued you for alimony even during your marriage and cohabitation, and currently you are partially paying alimony under the enforcement procedures. So please, could you tell us why is a situation like that your ex-wives, well, at least one of them, you say that you have good relations according to you. Why did they have to sue you for alimony? Well, I want to say that, as Svetlana said, your lover is your job. Those are her words, because I often went and stayed in other regions, and I could not go to the area of hostilities because I had 3 minor children who were underage, and later I was able to go when one of the daughters she was 18, and we decided that to make it this way that a certain percentage of money will be received by my ex-wife as alimony. It will not be important what is happening to me if I am in captivity or if I'm not able to. So you wanted to make this payment automatic? Yes, right. Okay, then could you please explain why in 2020-2021, when you were married with Svetlana, you did not declare alimony as her income?
то гроші, які переміщуються всередині сім'ї, декларуванню не підлягають.
According to an ACP, if the family lives together, the money that moves inside the family should not be declared. And when I submitted the declaration, I wrote a letter in my personal electronic office in an ACP that my spending is alimony because this money is still within the family. I do not declare it, but still it exists. And when in 2022 they lived separately from me, I asked her to show other income. She said no. So I showed the income that I saw according to the calculations of the NACP's accounting office. If you have this letter in your personal e-office, could you please provide it also if it is still there in electronic form? Let us move on to the questions that are about your job in NACP. Directly in your motivational letter, you told the Commission about various meaningful things that you did when working in NACP. You did come to NACP after working at the SSU, and you were the head of the Department of the Internal Control of NACP. And among other things, they were also checking the declarations of law enforcement agencies, SSU included. So according to your initiative, the public declaration of the top management of SSU was decided, and after working in an ACP, you came back to working at the SSU again. So please tell us, do you see any conflict of interest related to the fact that the department that you were heading was checking the declarations of the SSU employees, also in closed way, and you worked at the SSU and later went on to work there? The conflict of interest is private interest, your work duties, and some contradictions between private and work matters. Was it the conflict of interest that Novikov was a previous prosecutor, and as the main person at NACP, he was checking on people working in prosecutors' offices? Well, this is a rhetorical question. Yeah, I may give you a kind of a different example what conflict of interest is. Certain NGOs, they have a prior agreement with USAID that they will develop for certain amount of grant money the declaration agenda for the special services, and then it turns out that NACP did it without them, and they help with the external audit as the Secretariat of External Audit that took place in 2020, 2021. And without seeing those documents, they say that they are not written correctly because they were not written with their participation. Basically, I was told that they just stole the money from those certain activists. This is what conflict of interest is, and I cited several examples for you. Yes, we know what conflict of interest is. I just wanted to clarify your personal point of view. So you think that you did not have any conflict. I personally did not do any checks. In the explanation about your integrity, you have mentioned, and you have just also said, that you acquired many enemies who would want to harm you. Please explain us whether you had any wish to use your position to persecute such ill thinkers, also those who work in the SSU, because you were dealing with the declarations of the SSU employees. Those who work with me in an ACP and SSU, they know that I don't retain offense for a long time. Because if you're offended by someone, it eats you alive from the inside. Instead of moving forward and develop, you start living with memories and self-torture. And I think that you should forget these situations. And then the God will decide whether the the person was wrong, the God will decide on their actions. And please tell us, did you stay in touch with the former colleagues from the SSU when you worked in an ACP? Of course. The SSU, it provides counterintelligence for an ACP. And the service submitted certain information to an ACP as well. I also maintained the connections with our intelligence services and also with the Ministry of Interior. You always need to separate the work things from the private things. And now you mean your work relations or private relations you maintained? Well, if you send some materials from the service, from the security service, will you take a lawful decision on them? Of course you will. Same with the National Police. They were sending us the material, and the State Bureau of Investigations, they sent us the materials, and they asked whether we can start overseeing it. And I explained that Internal Control Department is not a supervision body, procedural body, like in criminal proceedings. There's the investigator who investigates the case, and then there is a procedural top manager then gives them the orders, but we don't have that. There is a person responsible for full check, if you're talking about checks, or monitoring the conflict of interest. And they come to a certain conclusion, they prepare a certificate, and then the certificate is signed by the direct top manager above this person. And if they are not in agreement, then the head of the department comes in to make the decision. And if the 2 and 3 of them can't come to a joint decision, then the issue of certifying the certificate is decided at the level of the deputy head or head of an ACP. And the Department of Internal Control does not have anything in relation to these checks. This is related to the question that we wanted to ask next about your activities in the department that you mentioned. In 2023, there was an independent evaluation of an ACP. For 2020-2021, you know that very well because you have recently mentioned this in the interview. And based on this monitoring, it has been observed that the department that you headed was not evaluated positively. I will now cite the audit results for the public. There were lackings in organizing internal control in an ACP. When you came, the department started performing the function of checking of property declaration of certain people, some intelligence services, including the SSU, which was outside the mandate of an ACP on anti-corruption. And according to the monitoring, this also was contradicting the division of functions of control and prevention. And also the transparent employment principle was not maintained. Do you know about this report? And don't you think that bringing the departments together could have weakened the internal control and worsen the internal control of an ACP, because the department had to allocate resources for checking the declarations of the SSU employees and other agencies? Of course, I've read independent external audits. There were comments to that written as well. Bringing together the internal control and anti-corruption function never happened in an ACP before. It wasn't when I came, but it happened when the legislation changed. Prevention 18.1, I think it was amended in autumn 2018, and it provided for creating the internal control department that is controlled only by the head of this department, that is appointed by the head. And also there was the Department of Anti-Corruption, and the law did not mention who is controlling it. If we look at Article 13.1, that is about other agencies and bodies, those anti-corruption responsible people, they should be controlled directly by the head of the agency. But when we looked into it, when we created the new structure within an ACP that the law provides, there is one department that is controlled by the head of the agency, and then there is another department. And we first tried to have internal control and the chief professional on anti-corruption prevention, of corruption prevention. After 2 months, it ended up that with the head saying that the employer who is corruption prevention, let him come to your department for meetings, work together, make decisions together. And then when once again there was a reorganization, the department was created where there are two parts, internal control and corruption prevention. That's the first part of the answer to this question. So in my opinion, if the external independent audit said that these two functions need to be divided, internal control and prevention, then of course they need to be divided by, we copied this structure from the NABU. They have internal control department, and within it, they also have the part that is responsible for corruption prevention, and there were no comments made to NABU, so we also thought that it would be the same for us. And then on checking this special category of, special services, let's call them that, for the first 5 years in the national agency, nobody talked about these issues. And basically until May 31st of 2020, there was an extension related to COVID. 2020 was the first year when the special services basically submitted declarations for 2019, and they provided the declarations that in case they were not truthful, they could have been brought to responsibility, disciplinary, administrative, or criminal responsibility. Because what happened before, it was not governed by anything. Some bodies did it their way, and other bodies did it their way. And the first document that the head of an ACP introduced, it was for the head of the Security Service of Ukraine to develop their procedure for declarations. And that order was cancelled, that procedure was cancelled, and further on, they used the procedure that was approved and acted as of May 2020. So to understand correctly, that you approve of the fact that they started checking the SSU, not just the SSU, NABU as well, and the intelligence as well, and the State Bureau of Investigations and the National Police, the Border Guard Services. So you approve of all that. That they submitted the declarations? Yes, I approve of that. But the question is, that the internal control started doing this. Well, again, if we look at the legislation, 52.1, it's a special procedure for declaration. It's a separate article in the law on prevention. And in my opinion, I think that because it's a separate article, then it means that the separate department should have been created who would be dealing with all those intelligence people, because there's the issue of access. As far as I know, in the US, there is criminal responsibility for publicizing information. Let me sum up. if I understand you correctly, you think it positively that the checks started, but you generally agree with the fact that it wasn't the best decision to bring together the internal control and prevention functions. Yes, I entirely agree, but then it's not Nорець who makes these decisions. Another question that relates to your work in ACP. We received several comments from several sources about your activities in the NACP. They say that when you have disciplinary proceedings against NACP employees, you overuse your powers, and you overuse it with the goal to dismiss those people further on. So were you directly involved in initiating disciplinary proceedings? Was it part of your duties? And how can you comment on this information, on possible violations and starting disciplinary proceedings against NACP employees? It's a complicated question. The independent external audit that analyzed our activities, they said that you don't have enough disciplinary proceedings open. Very few. And I explained it with the fact that I always thought that to prevent is better. To explain, you need to take the person by the hand on time, explain them that they shouldn't be doing it before any socially dangerous consequences take place. And that's the first thing. That the first comment that we received, that there were not enough disciplinary proceedings. Disciplinary proceedings happened when there were some outrageous facts. The classic example is when one of our employees, he was on hospital leave with us, but at the same time, he worked in the other place. Yeah, at that time, I wrote a letter to the head of the agency saying that I think it makes sense to open disciplinary proceedings. Then again, it's not internal control department that does the disciplinary proceedings. We only do the internal investigations on the conditions or reasons that could have led to corruption-related violation. But we don't do, investigations against public officials. We do disciplinary proceedings, and there's a separate disciplinary commission created for every case, approved by the head of an ACP, including members from different departments, and then the head of the disciplinary commission is chosen, usually in the national agency. The head of the secretariat was the head of the commission. I did not take part in the work of the disciplinary commission, not once. So starting the proceedings wasn't part of your job. Starting was, but being part of the commission was not. Another question on your leaving the NACP. You left the NACP on the day when the civil council asked to have investigation against you, and answering our request, you said, I was laid off from NACP on August 8th, 2023. So we ask you to clarify once again, were you laid off? Did you quit by yourself? And what were the conditions for that?
Reasons.
There are always reasons and occasions for things that happen. So the first question, were you fired or do you leave voluntarily? I submitted a request on a kind of letter of resignation on the basis of agreement of parties. As for the grounds, I heard on numerous occasions that if you do not agree with the HR policy of the national agency, you should apply for the position of the head of the agency, and then you can implement your own policy. So I will ask you directly, was this related with the call of the public counsel to conduct an internal investigation? No, it was related to the fact when my daughter made a publication, made a post on Instagram, and I was told that if you cannot control your daughter, then this position is not for you. That's the problem is that the head of NACP hires and fires people, but I try to explain that firing is not it does not just means that the person signs papers, and I think that this practice is not the proper one. And I said that I will not be given any grounds to make the reputation of the agency under threat. So I wrote a letter of resignation with no date, and when a decision was made that I will be dismissed, we just put the date there, and several hours later there was an order on my dismissal. And what about controlling your daughter? What did you mean about controlling or not controlling your daughter? It was not my phrase. This was not me who was talking about this control, so I cannot explain it. Dear members of the commission, does anybody have any additional questions? No? No other questions. May I? Yes. So Svetlana called me. Svetlana is your ex-wife. Svetlana told that your children love you. You should be proud of your life. You don't have to be worried about or concerned about any minute of your life. So we wish you good luck at the interview. That's what she told me on the eve of this interview. And because this information is circulating, and you mentioned this fact as well, so I want to ask what happened. What happened? What was about the reasoning of this post in Instagram? And I don't even mean the post and the reaction of public, but what was the situation? Well, I wrote you that it is a question of the future of my children. All things that relate to me, I'm ready to discuss them. So I will ask you, is the animal, is the pet alive? I will tell you honestly, I do not know, because when she was biting me and I had cuts on both of my hands, I caught it, and when I took it away and I had to go to the doctor, and the doctor told that the pet should be under control because there will be consequences. And when we came back, the pet was not there. It happened at night. Any other questions? I see that there are no more questions. So, Roman, thank you a lot for this interview, for being honest with us. I think that that is all from our side. Goodbye. And now we will have a 10-minute break, and we will continue at 5:30.